Well, Disney got me again. Welcome back to The Order, where we talk about all things awesome and collectible. Today's dish of choice is the Ezra Bridger Legacy Lightsaber from Galaxy's Edge. This is Ezra's second lightsaber featured in Star Wars Rebels, which, if you haven't watched, I'd recommend giving it a go. I know it looks like a kid's cartoon, but there's genuinely some really good character development in there. There's some really cool bits throughout the show. It's only 4 seasons long, so it's not going to take you very long to get through. And it's also going to be very heavily referenced in the upcoming Ahsoka show. Back to the saber, we're going to take a look at the pros and cons, and we're going to see if this is something that you want to add to your own collection. As ever, if you enjoyed this video, it would be a massive help if you could drop me a like and subscribe.
Help a veteran get a warm meal.
Let's get in. To start, this comes in a gorgeous in-universe Imperial style grey crate, which I am a real sucker for these. And this one has a specific Ezra symbol on the front, which is a really nice bit of detail. Inside the crate, you get the display hilt, and the reason I'm calling it this is because of the thin neck design. Disney weren't really able to construct universal blades to work with thin neck sabers, so as with the other ones in this design family, the Kenobi, Luke and the Leia, this saber comes with a blade connector, which we'll cover off in a bit. Taking a look at the hilt design, I have to say I fell in love with this instantly, and I wasn't expecting to from the images that we'd seen pre-order. I wasn't particularly interested in this hilt and I took a bit of a punt with it, but yeah, bam, it's got me. It's got a great feel to it, the weight and the balance of the hilt feel perfect, and unlike some of the other Legacy lightsabers which feel oversized and clunky, this lightsaber feels great in the hand. The display hilt is actually very true to the design shown in Rebels, and they've got the detail nailed on. Rebels is set in between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, and the aesthetic of this lightsaber fits with that time frame perfectly. You have the D-ring, which is more like a triangle ring, and the control box, which are very reminiscent to Luke's second lightsaber from Return of the Jedi, mixed with other elements which feel very similar to Anakin's lightsaber, such as the pins at the top, and also the slanted emitter, which harks back to Anakin's Padawan saber. In terms of the main chassis, the metal plate around the midsection is a beautiful gunmetal grey, and it mixes very, very well with the silver elements, the kind of black, the jet black handle, and this tiny bit of gold trim around the base of the neck. Strangely, with this lightsaber, Disney elected to carry on with replaceable batteries. So to access those, you twist the pommel and get access to your batteries. 3 AAA batteries as standard with the older versions of the Legacy line. Pop that back in and you're good to go. So far, Disney have only stuck 2 lightsabers with rechargeable ports, so not sure why they're not carrying that on, but who knows? Maybe we'll find out more in the future. But in terms of legalese, they do very well again at keeping this at the base of the pommel so it's not very noticeable. So when you've got this on display, there is a tiny CE here, which is on the back of the handle, but you're not going to notice that when you've got this on display. So again, gold star for displayability there from Disney. Before we go on to the electronics, we'll talk about the blade connector. The blade connector is attached by unscrewing the emitter section from the display hilt and then inserting the blade connector. This is slightly different to the other thin neck connectors in that this has this extended section which is going to slide into the chassis. Most of the others connect over the top of the main chassis. Slide it in, screw it in place, and there you have one blade ready lightsaber. And this is where I actually think it maintains most of the form factor from the original display hilt. The fact that there's only this tiny bit, you know, it's a relatively small thin neck at the top. So realistically, the only bit that we're losing is this tiny nub here. And the fact that the bulk of the connector slides into the chassis helps this feel like this is actually, this could be how this lightsaber is supposed to be. The fact that they've kept the slanted edge here on the top of the emitter, absolutely perfect. And for me, I'd be more than happy to display that as it is. With the blade connector in, I actually still love the overall design of this saber. The other thin neck sabers feel a little unnatural when they've got their connectors in, and I think you're very aware that the thin neck is missing on those sabers, whereas with this saber, you could look at this and be perfectly happy with it. It doesn't feel chonky at the top like the others do. As with all Legacy lightsabers, it comes with a blade plug. So to get to the electronics, take that out. You have the pop and lock blade, which is one of my favorite features. Here we go. Okay, that's cool. So this lightsaber's got its own unique ignition and deactivation sounds, and I've got to say, I love that. They sound almost out of control, and that bass lightsaber hum has a rawness to it. Feels like it almost wants to burst. It's really, really cool. Speaker's a little bit quiet for my liking, and that's a little bit of a shame on this saber. I will show you in the dark so you've got a fair comparison, but let's take a look at the clash. Okay, so I'm only picking up 1, maybe 2 clash sounds. In terms of blade brightness, no complaints at all. It looks good in the light, but it does look fantastic in the dark, and the activation and deactivation effects are pretty smooth as well. In terms of motion pickup, it's okay, but you know, these are Galaxy's Edge sabers, so it's not going to be smooth swing, and it won't pick up the sounds if you do fast swings. The control box feels like it gets a little bit in the way when you're trying to do a spin or a swing, but if you're holding the saber and just doing basic swings, I still think this feels absolutely great in the hand. With everything said and done, is this a lightsaber that I'd recommend? Absolutely. I love this saber. It looks fantastic with the display emitter on, but it looks equally fantastic with the blade connector on. It feels great in the hand. The electronics are really cool. The fact that it's got great display ability, whichever way you're looking at this, all of those add up to be massive pros for me. But what do you guys think? Is this a saber that you're going to pick up? Or are you going to wait for Disney to finally pull their finger out and either deliver us the Kanan Jarrus lightsaber, or maybe even Ezra's first blaster saber? Let me know in the comments. But for me, Disney smashed it.